Okay, you ready? Hi, I'm Ellen Zimmerman from the East
Okay.
Marion History Project, and the videographer is Jackie McKee. And tell us your name and where and when you were born.
My name is Ron Kennedy. I was born in New York City, October 27th, 1917.
And tell us how you first came to East Marion.
Well, my church had a camp on Long Island Sound. People out here call it the home. And I first came out here in 1926.
Yeah?
The camp had been in existence for several years before that. And I believe they closed down in 28.
So how many times did you come to that camp?
2 years,
Okay.
1926, 1927.
How were you chosen to go there? How did you find out about it?
Well, the church that ran the camp is St. Thomas's Church on 5th Avenue and 53rd Street. But the people from that church were not the people that came to the camp. We were from the East Side Chapel on 60th Street between 2nd and 3rd. The only actual connection with running the camp that the church had was the headmaster of the St. Thomas Choir School would be camp director, and maybe he'd bring along one or two of his masters, as they called them. And that was really the extent of the Fifth Avenue Church active participation. From then on down, the actual camp director that did the work, and the cook, and the ladies worked in the kitchen, and all the kids came from the chapel, except some of the choir boys from the Fifth Avenue Church also came over to the chapel,
So-
to the camp.
To the camp?
So, as I say, the camp must have been in existence since early 20s. And as I say, it ran until the 28th. So if you remember the chapel, you automatically went. It cost a few bucks, but if you didn't have the money, there was a fine. And I'm sure half the kids were on for free because it was a poor neighborhood. East Side, in those days, it was a poor neighborhood. If you remember the play Dead End,
Of the Dead End
Dead End
Kids?
Kids.
yeah, well, we were about 5 blocks away from the Dead End.
Ah.
In fact, had it been a few years later, we would have been referred to as the Dead End Kids, because that's what we look like.
So describe how you got out here. How did you get,
Well, we all gathered in the chapel in various stages of disarray. Some of the kids didn't even have suitcases. They had their clothes in pillowcases. And we traipsed over to Grand Central Penn Station, where Long Island had a special train that came all the way out. And they dropped us off in Greenport. And I'm sure some of the Greenport people, when they saw this horde of ragamuffins, went home and locked their doors. From the Lower East Side, they're invading us. And then from the railroad station, in the early days, they used to contract with the farmers who'd bring in their hay wagons and load the kids on the hay wagons and bring them up along North Road. I think we cut in at Stars Road. I think that went into the camp. Other than that, I think the older kids used to walk.
really? The older
Yeah.
kids, how old were
It's about a
you?
mile.
So you were about, what, 9 or 10,
I
right?
was seven and 8.
7 or 8. Ah,
So
you were a little kid.
I was like, well, actually, I connected with the camp as connected with the chapel in the city. We had a day nursery. So a lot of the kids, 3, 4, 5, from the day nursery, they came out to the camp, which left the impression with a lot of people that we were an orphanage. Because these tiny little kids running around. But they had a matron and people taking care of them. What they did, just as an explanation, before we came out here, the kids were divided into 2 groups, regardless of age or what have you, and given names. The last year I was here, we had the Chapelites and the Marionites. And having divided the kids into half, they divided them into age groups, juniors, intermediates, and seniors. And the groups competed against one another. So you didn't have 7-year-old kids competed against 16-year-old kids. You just competed in your group.
So did you have then a lot of games and competitions at the camp?
Well, it's an odd thing. It was a church camp. So the first thing in the morning, we had morning prayer. And then we did calisthenics. Then we had breakfast. And then we pulled our beds together. We weren't allowed back in the dormitories till we went to bed. But during the course of the day, it wasn't a real 7/24 program. Most of the time, the kids just had breakfast and then took off and wandered around because it was an immense ground, so we could just entertain yourself. They had a swimming period, but most of the kids didn't swim. Plus the fact the beach, like a North Shore beach, was rocky, so there wasn't much enticement to go down to the beach. But during the course of the day, there was a baseball field, a volleyball court, and there were some scheduled entertainment or activities, but nothing really formal. If you didn't want to show up, you didn't show up. So most of the time was just spent roaming around, picking blackberries. This place was overrun with blackberries. And by the time we went home, every kid was purple. And getting back to the pool, the water, most of the kids didn't, including myself, didn't go near the water. But the day before we went home, every kid was given a bar of soap and led down to the beach, get in and wash. Because after 2 weeks, I'm kids without their parents or mothers. Who was going to tell them to change their clothes? We were probably ripe by the time, ripe and colored purple. So that was really about the only time. I never left this place all the time I was here, except on 2 occasions. Once, one evening, we walked down to a soda fountain. There was a main road in a private house, but it was a soda fountain. And if we had a dime or 15 cents, we could buy ourselves a soda, but most of it just went for the walk. And the one other time was one of the highlights of the trip. We had a clam bake. The whole camp, the kids, would walk down to Dam Pond. The big kids walked down the main road, the small kids went along the beach. And then we spent the morning digging clams, which I hated. I'm a New York boy from the east side of Manhattan. The only water I knew was the East River. But the older kids, they used to fill us new kids with stories, horseshoe crabs, man-eaten, not man-eaten, but giant spider crabs, yard-long snakes and eels. We were afraid to go into the damn water, let alone go in and dig around in the mud for clams. So it wasn't a happy experience. But the best part of it was, in the evening, we'd build bonfires and roast the clams, or steam the clams. They were the only 2 times. So we had no intermingling with the townspeople, and they were probably just as glad too. There was only one fellow I know. He was an older chap. In fact, he drove the pickup truck. He dated an East Marion.